What's up, fam? I just want to make a quick video on pre-workout carbohydrates and even intra-workout carbohydrates, and how much do you need, or are they even necessary? For starters, and speaking of resistance training, not like a long distance running, a marathon, that kind of thing. Resistance training, typically, your sessions are going to be anywhere from, maybe as short as 20 minutes, or even maybe less if you're crunched on time, but upwards to, an hour, hour and a half, something like that, typically. I know some, power lifting programs might even have you in the gym longer than that, but generally for resistance training, you're going to want to have a pre-workout meal. It's going to be very important to help fuel your workout. And usually the further out from your resistance training session, that meal can be bigger. So, a full complete meal with protein, carbohydrates, some fats if you're, 2 to 3 hours away from that training session. As you get closer to that training session though, you're gonna want to reduce the fats and the fiber in that meal, particularly just because it may not set well with you during training. So you might find that you have some digestion disturbance there. You might have some bloating, some gas, that kind of thing if you're trying to exercise with a bunch of food, a bunch of typically fats and fibers in your stomach still digesting. The further way out that meal is from your training though, it might not be an issue, and that's personal too. You might handle a larger meal closer to your training than someone else. If that meal is more than 2 hours away though, you might find that you need a little snack or some carbohydrates either right before your training session or maybe even intra-session or intra-workout. If you find that you kind of feel hypoglycemic or running short of energy because your pre-workout meal is so far away from your training session. Typically, if that's the case, there could be some rice cakes, a banana, maybe a small amount of oatmeal and some fruit or something like that. If it's 30 minutes to an hour before. But if we're talking like maybe you wake up right in the morning, get dressed, brush your teeth, and you're out the door and you got to go get your workout in, and you don't like training on a full stomach, maybe you're just need something to get you through that workout because your pre-workout meal was so far prior to your workout. And that's where some liquid carbohydrates would come in handy, could come in handy, I should say. Maybe not for everyone. Something like a Gatorade, or even there's supplements like Carbolin is an example of a carbohydrate powder that you can mix in water, and you can just either drink that during your warm-up or even sip on it throughout your workout if needed. And it varies as far as how much do you need. Some of those have 20 to 50 grams of carbohydrates in a serving, but you may not need anywhere near that. You might even need maybe 10 grams is enough to sustain you for the tail end of your workout, or even if you sip on it through your entire workout, or maybe 30 to 40 grams, depending on how long that exercise is, how intense that exercise is, and then also just based on the individual, how large of an individual it is. Someone that's smaller may not need as much versus someone that's got a lot more muscle mass on them. So that's very individual again, and so play around with that. But if you find yourself in that one of those scenarios where it's been a while since you've had your last meal, or if you do have to work out early in the morning and don't have time to cook breakfast or don't have time to eat a large meal and allow it to digest before you work out, maybe try something like a protein shake and some kind of liquid carbohydrate source to fuel your training. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Stay safe, lift hard, and we'll talk soon.
Three tempo squats. Sets and reps 4 by 8. RPE 6, 7, 8, 8.